My name is Tina, and I'm going to read aloud to you by a book called Dark Feather, and it's written by my friend Anna Bonde Hinke. I already read the prologue, and it's on my channel. You can just watch it first. That would be a good idea, I think. So I'm going to read chapter 1. Here we go. It was a cool evening in the fall, end of September to be exact, the day my life changed forever. I don't know any other way to put it, even though that is such an overused sentence. I can remember that day very vividly, and not just because of all the things that happened afterwards. The evening burned itself just in the retina of my eyes. They are blue, by the way. My mother used to say that they were blue as the sea, that I was a sea daughter. I belonged to the sea or whatever. Sounded like they tried to drown me as a baby. In my opinion, it was rather macabre. But maybe there was something about all the nonsense about me belonging to the sea. It was there I was on that night, at the harbor anyway, if you want to call that the ocean. There was no wild nature here. The closest thing this place came to nature were the weeds that grew up between the cobbles. I had been walking around the little town and had ended up sitting there on a stone. I'd read a good deal of books in my 15-year long life. Not an overwhelming lot of them, never enough in my opinion actually, but enough to know that the main character always know when something in their lives is about to change drastically. Either that or they're completely oblivious. I was supposed to have picked up on the little things, but I ended up completely oblivious in the harbor at around 9 in the evening and hadn't fit the puzzle pieces together. It was typical for me, really. I was the kind of girl that stumbled through life, never really knowing who the people around her was, never really recognizing the places she saw, and never really knowing who she herself was. I was an in-between, someone in the crowd, especially in school. There I wasn't really a nerd, but not really the troublemaker either, although I'd been sent to the principal's office a couple of times. Not really liked, but not hated either. I was just part of the wallpaper in my school. Nothing but plain, white and boring. It had in fact been my last day of school that day. It was the intention that I was to start in a new school on the following Monday. I suppose that the idea behind the transfer was to give me friends. The fact that I hadn't brought any friends home since 3rd grade, I didn't really have any friends, at least not in school, weighed my parents down. My best friend was my 3-year younger cousin. The only thing I really would be sad to leave at school was Louisa. It wasn't even because we were friends, far from it. The closest thing we came in contact was to stand behind each other in physical education. And that was one of the signs I should have noticed. I had stood before her in a row in PE that day, and she had poked me in the shoulder and with a slight laughter greeted me. It was the first and the only sign I should have needed. That laughter and that poke. That poke and that laughter. Louisa. The second sign, if you even could call an emotion a sign, was my instinctive urge to go down to the harbor. I was watching TV in the evening as always, watching one of my favorite shows, a comedy that, as a legend had it, once should have been about a talent for singing. Just had ended, closing credits running down the screen while I was sitting there in my mother's soft sofa, and I knew it. I knew that I had to get some air, and I had to get it now. I grabbed a random sweater and I had in my hurry taken 2 different colored sneakers, a black and a green, but in the end I managed to finally lug me out of the house I lived in with my mom. My dad left when I was 7 years old. They got divorced and he moved to New York. I rarely ever saw him. There was no third sign. My life was and is no fairy tale. I had been in the process of balancing on the edge of the paving stones close to the water when I saw it. It was something like a floating light. I say floating because I don't know how I'm supposed to describe it. It was a small ball of light. It was light, right? Nearly on the water surface and almost swam toward me. For one reason or another, I shut my eyes tightly. Perhaps I knew at that moment that my life would change completely. Perhaps I was trying to escape before that change happened. Everything went a little too quickly, and I thought I would fall to the ground if things were to keep happening at that pace. Things were spinning a little. I didn't know what to do. I was going to count to 10 inside with my eyes closed. Count to 10, and when you open your eyes, everything will be normal again. Did I even want that at all? Everything to be normal? 1. What was that sound? 3. Is it waves? 4. Shouldn't I open my eyes? 5. I'm going to open my eyes. Now. I forced my eyes open and pushed my brown fringe out of my eyes. In front of me was a girl. She could not be much older than me, maybe a year or two. The first that struck me about her was that she was naked, completely and utterly naked, as if she had just been born, no more than a thought until the moment she was in front of me. Quite bold of her to swim in the harbour, naked even. Probably quite dangerous to swim in there in this weather. She would certainly get an inflammation of the cold. I would not have dared to do so myself. Her hair was light, jaw-dropping light, bright as on a small child in the summer, even though she had just been in the water, and in front of my eyes the color changed. Now it was more blonde than white, then more light brown than blonde, until she was left with the light brown hair flowing a little bit in the fall breeze. I had a feeling that I would have to be able to see her hair grow in the moments which had gone while my eyes had been closed. As in the first of the stories about Narnia, where you could see the trees grow, Polly and Diggory had entered in another world which was created by pure tones, song, music. Her skin was pale and trembling with goosebumps. Her breasts distended, her whole body shivering. Each hair stood up on her pale skin, as she with unsteady hands raised an arm to wave to someone. There was no one but me, but yet I still pointed to myself and mimed, "Me?" She did not reply. In fact, she didn't really do anything other than stepping closer to me and waved again, her entire palm spread out along with all her 5 fingers. I'd been expecting some kind of alien hand, but it seemed perfectly normal, maybe a little blue from the cold, as she continued waving back and forth. Are you some kind of alien to teach me about cosmos and chaos? I asked, and remembered in a glimpse of a book I had read when I was a kid. A little boy had met an alien whom had made him question everything about his existence. What? An alien? No, I'm not an alien, if you mean a weird green thing from Mars kind of alien, she replied and smiled at me with a slight laughter. Her teeth, that I unconsciously had expected was just like a celebrity, perfectly straight and white, was a little crooked, like a person who really should use braces. That reassured me in a special way. I had not noticed that my heart beat several times as fast as it should before I felt it slow down. Perhaps that was the moment I realized what I had said, what I had asked. I had asked a girl if she was an alien. An alien. A naked girl. I shook my head up apologetically and shrugged lightly at her. Amy, you? She said with a quirky, far from perfect smile, and held out a hand toward me. I was not sure whether she asked for my name or commanded me to say it. For one reason or another, I felt as if I wouldn't have been offended even if she'd done the latter. Emma, I said, and gave her hand. And in the moment I did, the memory of Louisa, who had poked me on the shoulder, came into my head, and I thought that I ought to have realized that it meant something very special. And then there was space for a second image in my head. I stood in front of the class and gave everyone small cream puffs out as my way of saying goodbye to the class, and Louisa sat on the seat that actually belonged to Kylie P, as she, Louisa, didn't even have this class and really shouldn't be there. It had given me a strange feeling inside. Her eyes had seen disappointed into mine, with the grey-blue color her eyes have, the eyelashes weighed down with a layer of mascara. She had said no thanks to the puff, which I technically shouldn't be offering her since she technically shouldn't be there. But I didn't care about all the technical problems of Louisa sat on the place. That look had burned itself into my retina once again, and that was why this day was a special day. That momentary doubt of whether it was a good idea to start all over again someone new, that was why this day was special. Amy tilted her head. "Can I borrow some clothes, Emma?" she asked, as if she understood that I was buried deeply in thought. "You were thinking of something important. I could see it in your eyes," she said, while I took action and gave her the sweater I had been wearing. She tried to pull down to cover her private parts, but obviously having quite the problem with the not very covering outfit, but not saying anything. We just stood there and looked confused. At least I think that was what we felt. At each other a moment before she reached out a hand and said with a gentle voice, "Come," while she with the other hand tugged at the sweater to cover herself up. When I received the hand, it struck me what was special about this. It felt strangely intimate, a little bit too much, the straw that broke the camel's back. And there was also something else that felt strange. "Should I know you, Amy?" I asked, as I ran a few steps to keep up with her, clenching her hand in my own, trying to get her nails to scrape against my palm. Was this a dream? Would I wake up in a few minutes' time, continuing my life like nothing had happened? Because genuinely nothing had happened. "Yes," she replied, and then we went there, walking on the cobbles. So that was it. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and you can subscribe, and I will be sure to put another video up of chapter 2 anytime soon. So thank you for watching, and I hope you'll all have a nice day, and I hope that you will order this book because it's really amazing. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching.